Okay, for this video, I'm going to discuss another method of determining depreciation cost. This is the declining balance method. In this method, sometimes called the constant percentage method or the Matheson formula, it is assumed that the annual cost of depreciation is a fixed percentage of the salvage value at the beginning of the year. The ratio of the depreciation in any year to the book value at the beginning of that year is constant throughout the life of the property and is designated by K, called the rate of depreciation. So again, K is the ratio of the depreciation in any year to the book value at the beginning of the year. Okay, let me illustrate. Suppose we have this timeline, okay? So at the start, the value of the property is denoted as C sub 0, okay? So for year 1, from 0 to 1, there will be a depreciation D1. So based sa definition sa rate of depreciation, K is the ratio of the depreciation in any year, like this one, depreciation in any year over sa book value at the beginning of that year. So for year 1, beginning is 0. So this will be the corresponding book value. So therefore, K is D1 over C sub 0. This one. D1 over D sub 0. Okay. Similarly, for year 2, the book value at the beginning of the year will be C sub 1. And for year 2, the depreciation will be D sub 2. And again, the rate of depreciation K is constant throughout the life of the property. Therefore, K is also equal to D sub 2 over book value at the beginning of the year, which is C1. Okay. And throughout sa life sa property, constant ang value sa rate of depreciation. Okay. So for year 3, at the beginning of the year, this will be C2, the book value is C2, and for year 3, D3 ang depreciation. So K is also equal to D3 over C2. And so on. Okay. So C3, C sub n minus 1, C sub n, this is the depreciation during the nth year. And then proceed, C sub L minus 1, C sub L salvage value, and this will be the depreciation during the last year, D sub L. So, ano ang definition sa rate of depreciation? To illustrate further, okay, let's construct a table, okay, showing the year, the book value at the beginning of the year, depreciation during the year, and then book value at the end of the year. Okay, so that you can come up with a general formula. Okay? General formula on computing the depreciation for any particular year, and the formula on knowing the book value, okay, after 18 years. So let us start. For the first year, the book value at the beginning of the year is C sub 0. And then the depreciation during the year is D1. Okay? D1. And D1 is K times C sub 0. Okay? Recall. Okay? To solve for D1, you just cross multiply. D1 is K times C sub 0. Okay? So therefore, the book value at the end of the year will be the difference between C sub 0 and D1. So it would be C sub 0 minus D1. C sub 0 minus D1. Okay. But if you will substitute K C sub 0 to D1, replaces 1 by K C sub 0, and then you factor out C sub 0, the result is this. C sub 0 times 1 minus K. Okay, so book value at the end of year 1. So pag start sa year 2, the book value at the beginning of year 2 will be this one. C sub 0, 1 minus K, denoted by C1. Okay. And the depreciation during the second year is D2. Oh, D2 is K times C1. Sa definition, sa rate of depreciation, ratio sa depreciation in any year to the book value at the beginning of the year, C sub 1. So after 2 years, the book value at the end of the second year will be C1 minus D2. And if you replace D2 by KC sub 1, KC sub 1, and then you factor out C sub 1, the result is this. But if you will replace C sub 1 by this one, C sub 0 times 1 minus K, C sub 0 times 1 minus K times 1 minus K. So the result is this. C sub 0 times 1 minus K squared. Okay? And for the third year, at the beginning of the year, we have this one. C sub 2 is C sub 0, 1 minus K squared. This one. The book value at the end of year 2 will be the book value at the beginning of year 3. So this will be D sub 3 equals K times the book value at the beginning of year 3, C sub 2. And at the end of year 3, the book value will be C2, C sub 2 minus D sub 3. Same pattern sa previous years, no? And then if you replace C sub 2 by this one, so the factor 1 minus K squared maadya plus 1, it becomes this one. C sub 0 times 1 minus K cubed. And so on. So after n years, you can get a pattern. So for year 3, C sub 2. Therefore, the subscript is 1 less than the value of the year. And also the exponent is 1 less. So if for year n, this will be C sub n minus 1 equals C sub 0 times 1 minus K. The exponent is same lang sa subscript sa book value. And then for this one, year 3, D sub 3, but then the subscript of C is 1 less. So, anat. And then book value at the end of the year. Okay, you can get a pattern here. For year 3, C sub 2 lang. So for year n, it would be C sub n minus 1. And you can get also a pattern for this one. For year 3, it's C sub 0 times 1 minus K cubed. Same lang. Year 3, it's cubed. So therefore, for year n, it would be C sub 0 times 1 minus K raised to n. So this is the book value for any given year. Okay? And if you will proceed up to the last year, L, same lang. Pag year L, L minus 1, L minus 1. And then D sub L, L minus 1 sub. And if you can, based on this pattern, then this will be equal to C sub 0 times 1 minus K raised to L. This is the salvage value. Salvage value. Okay. So for this method, first, first that you will get is, or determine is, the rate of depreciation. You can solve first this one, the rate of depreciation K. Because normally, for a given problem, ang given are the following. First cost, C sub O, salvage value, and life sub property. So if you will equate this one with salvage value, given ang first cost, given ang salvage value, given ang life sub property, you can solve for K. So if you will simplify this one, this is equal to C sub L. So I divide siya by CO. So what remains is 1 minus K raised to L. So the result, erase ni mo sa exponent na 1 over L para makancel ne. And you can solve for K. So the simplified form or formula, the simplified form in solving for K is this one. 1 minus the Lth root of salvage value over first cost. So after solving for K, and you can now determine the depreciation in any given year, the total depreciation, and the book value. Book value after any years, this one. This is the book value. So masolve na naman book value, okay? You already have solved K man. From this one, you already have the value of K. So substitute given, and then given a number of years, you can solve for the book value. Depreciation per year, like this one, this is any particular year in. No? Okay, so you just replace C sub n minus 1 by this. So the depreciation will be this one times K. This one. This is for any given year, pag small d, depreciation per year, or for any given year. But for the total depreciation, okay, it's just this one. Okay, total depreciation is first cost minus book value, or you can transpose C sub n and D sub n. The other one is book value is first cost minus total depreciation after n years. Pag i-reverse ni mo, transpose C sub n and D sub n, then the total depreciation is first cost minus a book value. So these are the formulas for the declining balance method. Let us solve some problems. A certain type of machine lose 10% of its value each year. The machine costs 5,000 pesos originally. Make out a schedule showing the yearly depreciation, the total depreciation, and the book value at the end of each year for 5 years. Okay. So from the usual table, we add this one, total depreciation at end of year. Okay, let's start. For year 1, beginning of year 1, the value is 5,000, first cost. And then the depreciation is, the rate of depreciation is 10%. Okay? It's given that the machine loses 10% of its value each year. So this is the rate of depreciation. So 10% of 5,000 is 500. So the value of the machine decreases by 500 for year one. So the total depreciation, of course, it's only 1 year, so 500 lang. And the value of the machine after year one will be first cost minus the depreciation. So it's 4,500. So at the beginning of year two, the value of the property is just equal to this, 4,500. And then depreciation of 10%, so mo-decrease siya by 450. So after 2 years, the total depreciation will be this one, 500 plus 450. 950. So the book value at the end of the year will be, it's either you will analyze this one as this one, 45 minus 450, or first cost minus the total depreciation would be the book value. Same lang, right? 5,000 minus 950, it's 4,050, or 4,500 minus 450, it's 4,050. And then pag start sa year 3, the value is 4,050. And then mo depreciate by 10%, 405. So the total depreciation after 3 years, i-add ni mo ni 500 plus 450 plus 405, 1,355. So the book value is first cost minus total depreciation, or simply 4,050 minus 405. Listen. And then continue lang. Year 4, 10%, i-add, that's the total depreciation, and book value 5,000 minus this, or 3,645 minus 364.5. And then for the 50, 10%, and then i-add, and then first cost minus total depreciation is the book value. So assuming that the life is 5 years, then this will be the salvage value. Okay. So, yun na ni ang declining balance method. Okay. Another problem. An industrial plant bought a generator set for 90,000 pesos. Other expenses, including installation, amounted to 10,000 pesos. The generator set is to have a life of 17 years with a salvage value of 5,000 pesos. Determine the depreciation charge during the 13th year and the book value at the end of 13 years by the declining balance method. Okay. So the usual given are the first cost. So it's 90,000 plus additional expenses. Installation 10,000. It's 100,000. And salvage value is given. Life of property given. So you can get the rate of depreciation, K. Okay, using this formula, and K is 0.1616. Okay. And after this, you can now solve for the depreciation charge during the 30th year. The formula is this for any year. So this is 13. 13 minus 1, K, na-solve na. C sub O given. Substitute, and this is the depreciation during the 30th year. And then the second one is book value at the end of 13 years. The formula is this for any given year. So N is 13 given, na-solve ang K, 13. It's very simple. Yeah? The other one, a company has purchased new furniture for their offices at a retail price of $125,000. An additional $20,000 has been charged for insurance, shipping, and handling. The company expects to use the furniture for 10 years and then sell it at a salvage or market value of $15,000. Using declining balance method, what is the depreciation during the fifth year? And what is the book value of the asset after 8 years? So given first cost, $125,000 plus additional cost of $20,000. The total is 145,000. So we cannot solve for the rate of depreciation kaya given ang first cost, given ang salvage value, and life sa property which is 10 years. So this one, this formula, and then you substitute. Okay. The rate of depreciation is 20.3% or 0.203. So for the depreciation charge, this is the formula. And then you just substitute given quantities. Okay, this is the depreciation during the 50. And then the other one is book value after 8 years. Book value, this one, this formula. And then it's very simple. So just use the given formulas in every time you solve a problem. And I hope that you have learned something from this video. Thank you for watching.